Rob?
Hello everyone and welcome to Rob's Rogues and the BatmanUniverse.net for this 2015 San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. First, right off the bat, I want to give a big, huge shout out to Joe Dunn, who manages the comic book section at the local place where I pick up my comic books. Quick little story, I had said my comic book shop had closed after 20 some odd years, or the place where I bought comics, and it wasn't even a real shop. Well, the guy that had been facilitating the comic books section found a new place in our little town to sell comic books. It's actually like a teacher's aid store for like elementary school kids, and he talked to them about just doing a pull list for people that in the area that were still getting comic books, so people locally in our town could still get books. So you can't go in and pick off, you know, the newest issue that came out that week. It's only if you like pre-order the books. So I'm glad to still be able to get comic books in my local town. And Joe has always been able to get exclusives or get figures at a really discounted price, or just very easy. So when he sent this message to me that said, hey, would you be interested in getting the Blueline Batman figure, I jumped at the chance for it, knowing that there's no way I'm going to be able to get to San Diego. Of course, this is not the $400 version with the authentic Jim Lee sketch in it, but to be able just to have the figure and have the amazing box art, I'm of two minds. Do I even break the cellophane on this thing? Do I just leave it in there? Of course I'm going to open up the cellophane, and it, you know, opens up into the, you know, the panel image that we've seen. Part of me wants to open the figure up. I think after I take the figure out, I can put him back in. So I'm kind of talking with some people right now, the other rogues from the Rogue Show, of, do I take this Batman out of package? It's almost made to be left in the package, I believe. It's not like I'm going to, you know, pose him for ACBA type stuff. He's just going to look really cool. Let's take a look at the rest of this. I'm backed up far away from the camera, but we can get a look at, I'm going to probably have to go handheld, so I'm going to back the camera out here just a second, but I'll just show you the box all the way around, at least from this view, so you can kind of see what we're looking at here. There is the Jim Lee, you know, back part of the box, the sketch of the New 52 Batman. Looks great in just a, you know, black and white pencil sketched version, which is what the figure is based on. Just really cool. The top of the box is the DC Comics D that's been kind of like, you know, scribble colored, which is really kind of cool. And then there's nothing really on the bottom except for, you know, the Onion Babies. No Onion Babies can open it unless you're over 4. So, Onion Babies, sorry if you're 0 to 3. So, I'll take the camera off the tripod real quick and we'll get a little bit closer at the artwork, which is just really cool. Alright, here's the front of the box again. Apologize with some of the camera lighting. I still have the cellophane on it, but you can just see in the water droplets, the typical Jim Lee, you know, water droplets that he does if you've watched any of his sketches online that he does at the cons. It's just really cool. The front of this box is great. The sad thing is when you open this thing up, you can see where the seam is right here. It'll open up. I think it actually opens, yeah, this way. So if I have it displayed with the, you know, duplicate sketch on this side and the figure here, on the shelf you won't see this beautiful artwork unless, you know, I take the figure out and then I leave it kind of, I don't know what I'm going to do with this thing, because every bit of this artwork is just fantastic. So very cool. Again, thank you, Joe, very much for picking this up. Alright, what we'll do right now, we'll open the cellophane and we'll get into the interior of the box art. Talked amongst yourselves. Rhode Island is neither a road nor an island. Discuss. I am amazed by this. Yes, it would have been so cool to have the extra $400 to get an actual sketch, but this is pretty darn close. Yes, he drew them specifically for the Comic-Con for these figures, and yes, they've been Xeroxed off, or it's a print. I get all that, and I know there's probably 1,000 other people that have a same exact one, but still, it's mine. I'm just very glad to have it. I was trying to figure out, how am I getting the figure out? Can I get the figure out? Do I want to get the figure out. Is it going to be something that's going to be worth, you know, $1 million someday? I imagine it's going to be, you know, the less you open things up, the more valuable things are going to be, yada, yada, et cetera, all that stuff. I've always been a big believer of, I want to enjoy these for as long as I have them, which is forever until the day I die. But I don't want to leave them setting in a box and never be opened, and then somewhere down the line, my grandkids or great-grandkids sell it off because it doesn't mean anything to them. They just know there's some money involved in it. So I'd rather be the one that profits from just the enjoyment of the figure. But this is a Comic-Con exclusive. I do have another Comic-Con exclusive from way back in the day that I've never opened up. So I'm kind of torn how to go about doing this. I could leave it set on the shelf exactly as it is, and I will enjoy this every second. Do I need to have this out? Is there a need to have this particular version of Batman on my shelf with all the other DC collectibles that could take a swan dive right off of the shelf and then break or something like that? Even though I do have my stands. But I'll get into, I figured out how the box opens, and I would say it's ingenious. I just kind of had to figure it out. You can see, I don't know if you could tell on the video, but it looks like not a screw, like a magnet here, and there's one here, and there's one here, and you can lose the other one down on this DC logo. It's actually a hinge, so there's a flap here, but I had to kind of wiggle it out where you can open this up, and then there's the figure. So I'm actually there. I touched it. So closing back up, I touched it. No. So and I didn't realize it before. There is Blueline paper back here behind, which is a neat little touch that they did, which you couldn't tell in like this until I kind of tipped it down to take a look at it, tipped it back. So the figure is made to look like he's sketched on the actual Blueline paper, you know, much like this is here. Before we get into the figure, let's close this back up, and I'll explain here in just a little bit. Here is the sketch. So I'm going to have to, since I got the light source here, bear with me just as I get this into frame for you guys. It says, Jim Lee, renowned comic book artist and co-publisher of DC Comics Entertainment, known for incredibly detailed and dynamic artistic style. Lee was responsible for the redesign of many of DC Comics heroes in the New 52, including Batman. So there is his version of the New 52 Batman, and this was the sketch done for this figure specifically. So I think he goes between 40 and 45. Because of my good buddy Joe, I got this guy for I think about $30, which is pretty good. So rather than paying, you know, the full 40, we got it for 30, which is $10 off. So hey, that's great for me. So now with this, again, this could be a little lengthy video. I apologize. I know some people just ripped right into this stuff. I do have a little bit of, you can kind of see it here, a little cut, or it looks, I don't know if you can see it on film, maybe you can't, but there's a little, there you can, a little bit of a, looks like a tear or a scratch. Now that wasn't for me, because since this was all, you know, sealed up like so somehow it got, you can feel the scratch here. So I don't know how that happened, but so this comes out. So there's the figure, so cool. Let's put him face down. So I think this is just an insert in the back of the box. You can see here in the top, it says Jim Lee, Con Batman 2015, as if he wrote on it. So it's just a cardboard piece. And I don't know entirely, I don't think there's anything hidden underneath this. Wouldn't that be funny if there was something under there? Like, hey, there's an actual real sketch under here, but you got to tear your box apart to find it. I would highly doubt it. I would believe that this side opens up as well. I'm really trying hard not to break this box. So there's that. So this bubble would come out too, and the sketch is in here, and it's sealed in this. So I mean, on some level it kind of looks real. I don't know. know if these were pre-done, if this is, and in fact, a real sketch. They all look really the same, just the way it looks like it's kind of bleeding through. I did not pay the $400, and all of the, $40 versions look the same. So maybe just the way that it was printed. Let me see if I can get that back in there. I apologize for this. So there is that. There was the figure. Now, I'm left with this dilemma of getting Batman out of the package. It looks like he would plop out pretty easy. Again, there's the spot for the cape. He's all white in the back, which I've seen some other reviewers go, why did they change out? Why isn't there the shading on it? Because I think generally he's going to be standing like this on your shelf. So there's one single wire tie right here. So to be able to say, oh, one wire tie, nothing is molded over his head, so he could plop right out, and that's kind of rolling the cape and getting that through. But then there are these elastic straps back here that I would have to cut off, which is the only bummer that, and see it's shaded underneath, which is the only bummer about this, that if I in fact cut this off, if I ever want to sell it, which I'm never going to, but if somebody else ever does on my behalf, it then technically has been tampered with. I think it's a beautiful piece, and it's going to look great just as it is. We have seen the articulation on this guy. It's the arms, the head, the elbows, and the knees. It's the new 52 Batman figure that we've seen a bazillion times already. So if you want to watch the articulation on it, there's people on YouTube currently doing it, and I've already done 2 versions of this Batman already, being I already have one loose right here. So I'm going to pause the camera real quick. And here are the 2 figures side by side. Very cool. I mean, yeah, it would be really cool to have, the Batman stand right next to this guy, put this one, and then the heroes versus villains behind him, kind of doing, a conceptual, drawing from sketch to finished product to, et cetera, et cetera. Again, it's the same exact figure, just repainted, which is perfectly cool, but everything just pops on this guy. Everything that I loved about this figure when I very first reviewed him a few years back is just even more heightened on this. Just so very cool. Because, I mean, getting it out of the package this far was more than I thought I was going to be able to. I don't want to take a risk of snagging the cape, trying to fit it through that spot. If I had a second one, or I come across a second one, I will surely take it out. So I hope you'll afford me the latitude here of going, this is a pretty cool piece to have, one that I didn't think I was going to be able to get. So for the sake of the review, if you want to see everything move, his head moves, and all that type of stuff, you can go back to his review. We know it's going to move, and there's reviewers out there that have taken him out of the package, and maybe at some point I will take him out, but I think for right now, the way this guy is going to sit on my shelf to enjoy, and I will be smiling from ear to ear, is probably the way he was intended to be, and looking just like this. So, today, we've been taking a look at the San Diego Comic-Con 2015 comic exclusive, the Jim Lee sketch figure. Very cool. Thank you, Joe Dunn, for picking this up for me. And this has been Rob for Rob's Rogues and the BatmanUniverse.net saying we will see you guys next time.